Welcome to another episode of Urban Words, where we're always trying to get nerded and get worded. So today, sometimes I'll be doing kind of reviews, and so I was up checking out the new film Deliverance. It's like another Daniels joint, and it was actually pretty good. We'll get into the particulars in a little bit, but the first thing I want to do is kind of go through the cast. I think one of the things that Lee Daniels does very well is he will bring in some incredibly talented folks and some top hitters, but actually, kind of give them material and scenarios and characters to really kind of push them um, in their kind of acting abilities and their limits, and I think allows them to evolve in their craft. So the first on the ballot is Miss Andra Day. She plays the main character. She plays a mom in this film. And Andra Day, if you guys don't know, she is started out as a kind of singer ingenue. Can I even refer to her as an ingenue still? Because she's been at the game for a while. But she has obviously, this incredible rapport with Lee Daniels. He first worked with her and bring her to the table with the film Billie Holiday, uh, or the film Billie Holiday, United States versus Billie Holiday. And she played, of course, the main character. And there's something about um, Lee Daniels and what he's able to do with especially singers. I'm thinking of him, what he did with Andra Day, um, and just I think black women in these kind of alternative roles that are not classically or historically actresses, but he's really able to kind of bring them into that space and I think make them comfortable and make them able to kind of open up to this obviously innate ability to become incredible storytellers. We saw what he did with Monique and Precious. Um, Even a little small part he did with Mariah Carey, who we know is like the ultimate diva, but Lord, you didn't even know who she was after he, got her out of makeup and have her kind of like, really become this, of all things, this kind of like, kind of normal, almost, mundane social worker. But he did it. Um, anyway, he teams up again with Andra Day. She plays the main character. Um, but even before we get to that, is there something about the story of um, Billie Holiday? There's something about Billie Holiday, that story, that allows singers, and again, women who don't come from a historical, typical acting background, are able to kind of come in and take on that role and totally transform themselves and kind of produce these incredibly mesmerizing performances. This is for my old heads. For those of you who remember what Donna Ross, who kind of stepped into the role of acting from being, part of the diva iconic girl group, the Supremes, and what she did with the role of Miss Billie Holiday back in the day when she was with Motown and Berry Gordy, when they kind of branched off and started doing their film joints. But again, incredible role that she was able to do. So there is something kind of really interesting and magical about Billie Holiday and using that as a vehicle for these women to kind of really kind of show up and show out. Anyway, Andra's character had three kids in this film, The Deliverance. The little boy was the main character, although I don't think I've ever seen him before. He's actually pretty good. There's something about kids and scary movies that just freaks me out, especially little white kids. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's from some of those movies back in the day, The Village and some other things. I'm trying to remember that horror film back in the day where all those white kids had blonde hair and their eyes would light up. It was kind of disturbing and freaky. Anyway, she had three kids. The youngest two, the little boy and the little girl, although notable, I didn't really recognize him. You will recognize the oldest son. He is the young brother uh, from Stranger Things. I think his name is Caleb McLaughlin, and he's definitely grown up. Um, Totally, you can see his acting chops have evolved. Gibbs is really kind of, um, I think, good performance as the older brother, the protector, the tension between his mom, who obviously has had some, addiction problems, and him obviously having to kind of grow up, and and I think you see that with both the older kids. But that's kind of an interesting dynamic that he plays up and plays very well, I think. Another character is, I'm trying to make sure I'm pronouncing her name right, Ingenue Ellis Taylor. Now, I know the sister from Lovecraft Country, which was, of course, for all the sci-fi um, and paranormal nerds. We love that series. We only got like one good season, and the powers that be decided to take it away from us. So I think that was also the one with um, Jesse Smollett's um, sister in it, and the other brother that went on. I'm trying to remember his name. That um, played King the Conqueror, and had all the drama. And they tried to blacklist him, but hopefully he'll get back on his feet. You guys know I'm talking about the kind of dark skinned brother, real build, um, good looking, not classically good looking, but good looking. Anyway, I know this sister from Lovecraft Country, and I think she also, that's where she caught my attention, but I think she also played, obviously, in some other films. I think she played in the film, she was a mom in the film King Richard, with the film about the Williams sisters' father. That was the night that um, the film should have been, notarized and honored for, this incredible story of the Williams father, and what he did for Venus and Serena Williams, and kind of bringing them from the inner city to making them kind of these tennis goddesses, and being iconic in their own kind of right. But that was also the night that Will Smith decided to show up and show out, and introduce the entire world to the Pimp Slap heard all around the world, when he smacked the hell out of Chris Rock. But it still has most of white Hollywood shook it. But it seems black folks have kind of moved on from that experience. We kind of just duck and move. Also in the film is Tasha Smith. You guys know her from, I think she has a twin, but you guys know her from the Tyler Perry movies, the real loud, crazy one. Um, that wonderful scene still in um, scene she did at the table when they were going around, and she's the loud friend with all the attitude, but we love her. She's in the film. She plays a minister, kind of holy roller. We don't get to see a lot of her, but because she's so enigmatic and good at what she does, when you do see her, she obviously stands out. Um, so she was pretty cool. And then there is Monique's character. Monique has, it's not a, she has a role in the film, but it's not the kind of typical kind of bowled you over Monique role. I really liked this character. This character for Monique was a kind of toned down version of what we usually see with Monique. The thing I can appreciate about Monique, as she evolves as an actress and works more in film, I think she's seeing the power and the nuance of being able to be subtle in her delivery. I think when you are, say, a comedian or theater actor, you're used to kind of performing, and coming from film school is one of the things that I found in my opportunity to direct folks, especially people who are coming from the theater, that they have a tendency of, and you have to do that in the theater. You have to have the ability to emote and kind of project, to a huge audience. You have to make sure that the people in the front are feeling, just the same energy as the people in the back. And so there's a lot of kind of over exaggeration and kind of bigger moves to kind of convey what you need to convey in terms of emotions, and of what the character is kind of feeling in that moment. The thing that happens in film is it's the camera, and the camera is, sometimes, especially for close-ups, it's typically, only a few feet, if not sometimes inches from you. And so I think actors who have grown up, you see this a lot with folks like who've kind of been in the kind of film world, um, who understand that there's a lot you can do. Like Angela Bassett, is wonderful with this. There's an ending scene with Love. What's Love got to do with it? And between her and Ike, and it's all done. I used to show it in class. It's all done in the mirror. Like you can see her exchange with Ike. He kind of comes in, and you'll see I go off on these tangents, but usually I come back around. Come back around. They're having this exchange, and he's kind of come to kind of put her in her place. And there's just something you see in her face of this resolve that she's not going to be putting up with this shit anymore. And it just all plays out in the face, in the mirror. And you see that, I think Monique has developed that kind of intuition now. And you see it in this role that it's not over the top. Um, Her character is softer, although we do see some of the attitude. It really is. I think Monique is kind of coming into her own in terms of understanding that um, she can be just as powerful um, in her acting when it is kind of nuanced and subtle. I think you'll see that in this character, that it's Monique, but it's to me a kind of toned down, refined Monique in terms of her acting. It's definitely a pleasant surprise and a treat to watch. Um, there was this other character of some dude in a wig, and I know I've seen this dude before, but I could not place it to save my life. And then when I went and looked at the cast, it was Miss Thing, Miss Lawrence from Real Housewives of Atlanta. He actually did a really good job. I know I kept seeing he had on the wig, so I kept seeing the face and the voice sounded familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. But he actually ended up playing it off and pulling it off. So that his role was kind of notable. There was a whole lot of other notable characters. They say Octavia Spencer was in it, but I can't remember her part, and I'm sure that's my fault because I was, taking notes and kind of going back and forth and reviewing stuff. But the one thing that is going to catch your eye with this film is the veteran and legendary actress Miss Glenn Close. Glenn Close plays Andra Day's character's white mama. This might be a whole new genre for Glenn Close. If you guys have ever seen, imagine if you've ever seen Kiki Wyatt's mother, and it's from my old heads, the character from Nora Desmond, Carol Burnett show. If they had a love child, that is the character that Glenn Close brings to the table in this film, The Deliverance. When I tell you they did their research on Glenn's character, she is, and for those of you who have been in the white community or been in the black community and have known white women who've grown up in the black community, there is almost like an archetype. Glenn Close's character is not all, but she's a lot like a lot of these white women of a certain age that grew up dating black men, living in the black community, and who have biracial children. It's almost like a uniform for some of them. She has the asymmetrical haircut, which are wigs for her character in the film. Not really giving away anything, but even her wig choices are asymmetrical, which is funny. She wears the kind of black woman inspired makeup, big hoop earrings. It's almost again like this uniform for white women who have kind of like been part of the black community. You can tell she probably makes good collard greens and sweet tea, and probably is a bit too comfortable in the cookout. and I wouldn't be surprised if she uses the N word if she gets drunk or mad. But whoever was the coach for Glenn Close, um, they need a muffin basket because they did the work. And Glenn Close, this might be a whole new genre for her as she moves forward because she did the damn thing. She definitely played the role. Um, but I think all the performances were notable, but how mainstream Hollywood works. They will take an almost all black cast, black director Lee Daniels, and what he's doing with the story, the incredible roles that the other black characters are bringing to the screen. But they will probably recognize Glenn Close for the work that she did. I wouldn't be surprised if she will be the standout as it relates. Not to say that the other roles were not notable, but as the way mainstream Hollywood likes to work, I wouldn't be surprised if they would skip over everything everybody else brought to the table and just concentrate on what her role was and what she did. Anyway, if you've not seen the film, there may be some spoilers, but I'm not going to try to give away a whole lot. It's basically a film about possession, and um, I think it's The Exorcist kind of meets Soul Food or Big Mama's House. There are certainly some very clear parallels to the Exorcist film. For those of us who grew up back in the day and actually have saw that film and grew up with it, I know that film. I think my cousin Joyce maybe took us to see that film. Back then when we really didn't care about what you can do to the young psyche of young kids. But when I tell you that film scared the hell out of me, and it was something about the noise. I could not, go into a dark room for months after seeing that film. But yeah, Exorcist is definitely, you can tell, an inspiration for the film, and for those um, film enthusiasts, you can definitely see the not only the storyline but also these kind of very clear and kind of clever visual homages to the Exorcist film. There's a scene outside where Andrew Day is kind of like going through something, but it's at night and it has all the kind of fog and steam. And there's even a kind of reference of stairs in the background. If those of you who you talk about that scene I'm talking about in Exorcist of the priest in the alleyway next to the building. Um, so you can definitely tell that the folks, Lee Daniels did his homework, and although it's not an exact bite off, it's definitely some references. I did feel like the story could have been more surprising in how it unfolded. Again, if you've seen Exorcist, it's pretty much, you're going to see almost like a pattern in terms of a possession, and it's almost like a flow chart of how these films kind of like unfold. Usually there is some innocent child, possession, the devil, God comes in with religious reinforces, and instead of the priest, we have Anjanae Ellis Taylor's character, who is the kind of spirit warrior who comes in to help Anjanae fight the forces of evil and get her children back. And so we do see that kind of parallel of how this film kind of like plays out and unfolds. But I think, to his credit, I have to give again Lee Daniels his flowers in turn. It really kind of continue to push his craft. I think the thing I appreciate about Lee Daniels is he will bring again a credible talent to projects, but also pushes them, and not just pushes them. I think he continues to give them even. I think that's why you even have seasoned mainstream actresses like Glenn Close who are attracted to his projects and want to work with him, because he will put them in situations, actors in situations where The characters are complex. The material is meaty enough, interesting enough, nuanced enough to interpret. And I think that even a seasoned actress and this um, will feel that there's a place for them to stretch and evolve. Um, and that's no shade to another black media mogul who will go unnamed, um, coughs and mics and gives silent eye roll. Uh, anyway, I think the film is definitely a worth see. Um, I think for me, I kind of wanted to see a little bit more um, played out in terms of the relationship, especially with relationship between Andra Day and Glenn Close, the white mother. Um, I think there was a lot that could have been explored with that, because obviously the relationship between this white mother and this biracial um, black woman, Andra's character, was toxic and complicated, um, and in a lot of ways had the potential to be even more scary and oppressive and intense than the kind of paranormal possession. Um, so I think that there maybe was a lot maybe left on the table, and maybe just because of the film and the time frame and the subject matter, they really didn't have the time to kind of go into that. But I think that really could have been maybe a missed opportunity. But anyway, I think it's definitely especially for those of you who are kind of paranormal fans. And I know some of us nerds or kind of cross over into these adjoining genres. I do like a good paranormal story in film. So it's definitely, I think, a look-see, worth watching. And thank you guys for kind of tuning in. Hopefully, very soon I'm going to start having some special guests to kind of help me maybe dissect some of these topics. Films and series and television, or just current affairs or what's going on in popular culture. Um, for those of you who know, I'm an educator, so it's not my style to just kind of like sit and drone on. So I really like the energy when I have folks to kind of bounce ideas and energy off of. So I'm hoping to kind of start moving in that direction. And hey, if you are someone who is an author or an artist or has a platform or just a significant opinion, reach out to me, and we can get nerded and worded together here on Urban Words. So again, guys, thank you guys for uh, hopefully sticking with me and being part of this Urban Words journey. You guys come back and we'll get nerded and worded some more. Otherwise, be blessed, and we will see you guys next time. Urban Nerd out.